I'm gonna poop my pants.
Yeah.
Oh.
Someone did a boom boom.
Oopsie.
Boom boom on the head? What was
Bonk,
it?
bonk on the head.
Bonk.
Which I said many times during the way to Eden, by the way.
I actually said to Chris, I was like, which is worse?
They were the Miri kids grown up.
Herbert, or bonk bonk on the head?
Yeah.
Oh god, nothing's
fucks.
worse than that. You gotta leave that in. That's an opening. That's an opening line.
I assume Jake doing a boom boom at the table was our opening already.
It almost just made me do a boom boom all over Jake.
Holy crap.
We're the same person. Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin, and today with me are...
Jake.
Chris.
And Ames.
And here we are, it's episode 39.
9?
Yeah.
No, you're right. What? That's right, holy shit.
That was really good. I'm impressed by that. So episode 38 and a half, possibly 9. And this week we watched The Way to Eden and The Cloudminders. In The Way to Eden, a bunch of space hippies stole a ship and the Enterprise intercepts them and manages to get them on board right before their stolen vessel explodes because they're pressing the engines too hard. When they get on board, they start calling everybody Herbert, which basically means like square.
Ooh.
It turns out that these space hippies are trying to get to Eden. They find this out because Spock apparently is down with the lingo.
He speaks hippie.
He does. He speaks hippie.
Excuse me, stewardess. I speak jive.
So they find out that they're trying to get to Eden, and they also find out after giving all of the space hippies a physical in sickbay, where like we only see McCoy for that scene.
Yeah.
I think, which I was like, wow, this is a criminal
He wasn't in the next
underuse
episode
of McCoy.
much either.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't feeling well. Poor thing. Anyhow, one of them has, I don't know,
Synthococcus novae.
Synthococcus novae.
Because he's a tech guy or something. I guess he picked it up from fucking a robot or something.
Oh, that sounds right. And you know, this thing only exists because of how sterile everything has become, you know, in their society, and they all want to get to Eden so they can be more free and frolic in the fields and all this nonsense. But we also have a friendly face. Chekhov recognizes his old girlfriend, Irina, and has a boner throughout.
Yep.
And
his hair was weird this week, too.
It was.
Yeah, everything. And his eye makeup was really heavy. His
well, this was,
eyeliner
he had actual close-ups this week, is that what Jake said?
Soup's heavy. It was bad. I was like, why did they do that? Anyway, so several of the, you know, people in the hippie cult are trying to kind of get members of the Enterprise to kind of come over to their side. Sulu is the first one who seems like pretty into it, which is cool. Then Irina uses her sexy lady charms to try to bring Chekhov over. And what was that guy's name? The actor? Remember
Charles Napier.
Charles Napier, best known for playing like grizzled war veterans and policemen. Is
he the one that played Adam?
Yeah.
The musician guy?
Yeah, the musician.
He wrote his own songs. They were terrible.
They were really bad. Anyway, through the power of song, Adam, played by Charles Napier, convinces Spock to come and have a jam sesh. And through the power of music, they, you know, kind of make the whole crew really into hipsterism.
Make the episode last long enough.
Oh my god, so bad.
So much dancing, so much partying.
And so they take over the ship, these hippies, and they point it towards Eden. Which, like, Spock had already said, I'll try to, like, help you. I admire your weird fucking psycho religion, and I want to help you get there. And they were still like, nah.
Well, so Dr. Cauliflower Ear was crazy.
Yeah, he was cuckoo birds. Which I love that, like, Spock was like, Dr. McCoy, he might be crazy. It's like, Dr. McCoy, do you remember that you're also the chief psychiatric medical specialist on board, but only when it's
science officer.
Only when it's helpful to the plot. So at any rate, they take over the ship, and instead of just taking the ship to Eden, they steal a shuttlecraft.
They love stealing shit.
They
Yeah,
do.
they're
These fucking
kleptos.
kids.
These damn kids. And Scotty
Their
has
giant talking dog.
Scotty has a great.
Oh man.
You okay, Chris?
Wow, that laugh on that line. Look at that shit.
That's beautiful.
It's like, anyway, so they crash land their shuttlecraft into the fucking planet, and the Enterprise crew follows them down, and they find that, like, Chekhov, like, burns his hand on a plant, which, oh my god, not fucking bad plants again. But he burns his hand on the plant because everything has acid in it, and they shortly thereafter find Adam's dead body next to a piece of fruit that he bit into, presumably because it also is just full of acid.
Which Spock helpfully points out to us.
Get it?
His name was Adam.
And he ate the fruit.
Bum, bum,
On
bum.
planet Eden.
I kind of wanted Kirk to reach her, slap him upside the head.
Yeah.
Of course,
For
my
that
read
one.
was different. I was like, yeah, of course the hippies want to go to the planet made of acid. That makes perfect sense. So, at any rate, he dies, and they come and find the hippies who have all run back to their shuttlecraft because those barefooted heathens have been running around frolicking in acid grass, and they've all burnt themselves. So they're like, helping them out. But then
I want to call it Grassid. Does that work?
Grassid, I like
Yeah,
it.
there we
But
go.
then Dr. Sevrin, whose name I hadn't mentioned till now, the Charles Manson of this weird hippie family
With weird ears.
with weird ears, he decides that I'm not leaving, you can't make me, and they're like, no, we're trying to help, and he's like, "Rah!" And he climbs up an acid tree and picks the acid pear and bites that motherfucker and then bites the dust.
Yeah.
And that's, we go back to the Enterprise, he's dead, boo-hoo. And Spock to the space hippie Irina is like, I hope that you find Eden or that you make it yourself. And it's very touching and sweet. And that's it. So in the Cloudminders, we visit the planet Ardana, where the intellectual elite live in the cloud city of Stratos. There we go. And down below, the troglodytes are made to work the mines mining some Xenite, which apparently is like good plant fertilizer. I'm not really clear on what the deal is with it.
It fights
Some kind of
plant
bacteria. All right. Well,
It gives
close
off stupid gas.
Yeah.
It's also contained in the softest rock in the galaxy.
Yes.
It's just chalk.
soft. I'm trying to think
It
of what the
feels like
softest
this thing
rock
could be
is.
easily mined with a robot.
Vacuum.
Yeah.
A Roomba could do the job.
Oh, Jesus.
It bumps into the wall, causes someone to crumble, and then it just goes back over it.
That's perfect, actually.
Sorry, go on.
No, it's fine. We meet Plasus, who is the High Advisor of Ardana, and his very attractive daughter, Droxine, who...
Was she?
Well, Spock wanted to put it in her, so...
He did. That was unlike him.
Well,
Very
and like, her father seemed ready to sell her to the highest bidder.
She was like...
Living work of art, gentlemen. What are your bids?
Check out her navel. It's showing.
I know.
As did
there's
Arena's in the
hot-
last one.
hot
But anyway,
naval
sorry.
action this week.
So much navel action.
She was like creepily open about wanting to fuck Spock with her dad, and I was just like, we don't...
They're
No.
artists. Everyone on Stratos is an artist.
but
or
not,
some
but not
shit.
your dad.
You know, that actually
Don't
does
tell
make
your
it make
dad.
sense.
No, not with dad. It doesn't
Maybe
make any
there's some
sense.
incest. Maybe incest is a thing.
Well, if you can't keep it in your pants.
You realize he's telling everybody how hot his fucking daughter is?
You know who else
Donald
does that?
Trump?
Yup.
Bazinga!
And he's a big racist.
Holy shit. So anyway,
Classist.
They meet Space Trump.
There we go.
Space Trump has better hair, though. His hair was actually kind of great.
That's true. Anyway, there are some troglodytes who are fighting the good fight, called the Disruptors, who are trying to get some equality in this motherfucker, because they're sick of, living in caves and digging up whatever the shit all the time. And so... they're trying to have an uprising. Meanwhile, Kirk and Spock are down on the planet, and Droxine, which, am I wrong? Does that, sound like an eye drop or some kind of,
Definitely
medicine
sounds
that,
medical.
Yeah.
where, the side effects are definitely worse than the things that it's, fixing?
Yeah.
That sounds like her to a T.
It's for, yeah, that's true. And, and Spock and Droxine are sort of getting close to getting it in. They're having lots of sexy chat about Ponfar.
So you only get a boner
Yeah.
once every
Since
7
when
years.
is Spock so open about talking about Ponfar?
It was
Well, he
really
wanted to
weird,
pawn
wasn't
her
it?
far.
All right, let's finish the
He wanted to see how far inside he
synopsis.
could get his pawn. That's what I'm saying.
Hey.
So he,
Vagina.
yeah. Intercourse.
Pennsylvania.
So it was legitimately funny. Anyway, they're kind of talking dirty, and then she's like, yeah, those troglodytes are fucking stupid, inferior pieces of shit. And Spock's boner dropped faster
You
than...
could, hear it.
than PewDiePie getting dropped from the Disney Channel after he did that fucking racist shit. Anyway, so Plasus and Droxine are racist twats, and How do they figure out that there's like a gas that's causing all these problems?
McCoy has some.
tests
Yeah, he has a sample.
Yeah, and so he's like, this gas makes people stupid. Oh, that's right. He's like, yeah, we have numbers that show that, the troglodytes are 20% stupider than the people in the Cloud City. And Kirk's like, the fuck? Kirk goes to Plasus and is like, here, we have this science. He also is anti-science. Oh my god, it's so perfect. He's like, we have this science that proves that the shit in the mines makes people dumb. And he's like, that's fucking stupid. We have the greatest minds anywhere. They're tremendous minds. You're gonna love our minds. And, Believe me. Trust me. So then Kirk goes to this woman, Vanna, who's like the head of the Disruptors, who like tried to assassinate him in the middle of the night. Then it became a creepy
wrestling fest,
cuddle fuck fest, and I was just kind of like,
he got it
why?
in a couple times.
It was awkward. I was uncomfortable with that scene. He's like, I don't know, I find this really pleasurable. It's like, yeah, you're a rapist. And moving on. But anyway, so he goes to Vanna and he's like, Vanna, there's gas in the mines. And she's also anti-science, so I'm guessing like she's an anti-vaxxer and Trump is just a moron.
Well, she's also been in the mines.
Plasus.
Yeah.
No, she's been out for a while, so she's been getting smarter.
No, she's been back.
Oh, well, I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, I don't believe in something you can't see and can't detect that makes you dumb. And it's like, okay, well. So, in order to prove to both of these fucking idiots that it's true, Kirk gets himself and Vanna, like, caved in the mines, and then tells Spock to beam Plasus over, and he does, and Plasus is bullshit.
In a long filler scene, too.
Yeah. And they have arguments about how it's bullshit again, and then Kirk, because this gas also apparently makes people more violent because they're dumb. I don't really know if I like that comparison, but I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. At any rate, he starts getting ultraviolet and violent and is basically like, I'm gonna fucking point my gun at you and you're gonna believe me. And then they're like, holy shit, he's getting really violent. Clearly there is a real thing with this gas. Ah! And so finally Vanna like gets the communicator away from Kirk and is like, oh no, beam us up, help Enterprise! Ah!
Look, at that point Kirk and Plasus are trying to kill each other with cave knives.
Yeah, they're having a fight.
Yeah.
Which looked like weird crucifixes.
Yeah,
Those were
The
strange.
knives looked like they were trowel-y things that did not make for great weapons.
And they also just didn't look sharp enough to kill anybody. I was like,
Well, it cuts the
disbelief.
fucking clay rock that just crumbles when you look at it.
That's true. So anyway, they get beamed up, and they're like, oh my god, you proved it to us that the gas is real, and then I guess they decide to fix society and just let everybody use gas masks in the mines instead of being dickheads, and
It's a little vague,
yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I think as soon as they leave, probably
Everything just Civil War.
goes back to normal
There'll be a
and
purge.
stuff. Yeah,
No.
I just don't.
Oh yeah, and as always, this was an aid of getting this crap that they had to have because there was a plague somewhere.
Yeah,
But
there's
yeah,
like
whatever.
a food shortage on some planet.
No, there was a plague going around killing all the plants.
Oh, they needed for air. That's what it was. It wasn't food,
Which,
it was
like
air.
all planets, they need the plants for air. But
Well, yeah, but like maybe in the 60s that wasn't as common knowledge. I don't know. How many people today maybe know that? Think again about how anti-science some clusters of people have become. So at any rate,
Plasus.
these were the 2 episodes, and I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed watching this week's episodes.
I didn't really care for the way to Eden.
Well, let's...
I didn't care for the songs.
The songs were awful.
I didn't care for the wigs.
Yeah, one guy
The
with his
wigs
fucking rainbow bright wig.
Well, there was also like the application of the wigs and the bald caps.
Yeah.
Like Adam, there was one scene where he's talking with Spock, and in every shot of him, the bald cap is peeling off his head. And you
Oh,
can
I didn't even
that.
see that.
You can see it in the HD version, and I'm like, is that intentional? And then no, it cuts to another shot of him, and it's fixed. So clearly,
Well, it was really obvious. Like, I don't think his was ever peeling, but it was really obvious that Dr. What's-His-Fuck was wearing one. Sevrin.
yeah, anytime he turned his head, you'd see the wrinkles
Crinkles
in the,
and,
in the
yeah.
rubber.
Oh, well, I didn't notice that either. I'm just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
very...
He could have just had a wrinkly head. Who knows?
No, it was-
to match his balls.
I did like they had little like go to the carnival and get like your face painted at a little kiosk.
I actually quite liked
on their faces.
I liked that.
I
did
liked
like
those.
that
They were
aspect.
cute.
My God, and Irina's outfit was stunning. The fabric was gorgeous. The cut was nice. It was almost like kimono-like in style, the sleeves and stuff, but then had no back. That was some sexy shit. I was into it.
Chekhov was too.
Wow.
So, Ames, when researching this, was Herbert a reference to anyone specific?
They I don't think it was, but I think there was some fear that, oh no, someone might take it to mean they're talking about Herbert so-and-so, who I guess was like one of the producers.
Well, because there was a Herbert
something.
Solo or Solo.
It wasn't a him, no.
S-O-L-O-W.
There was another Herbert, and they was like, oh no, we have to make sure they're not in any way talking about him, so they come up with the backstory of who Herbert was, and there was that moment of, oh yes, they were referring to such and such, and that basically means
who was especially rigid,
or narc, or whatever.
Well, and that was kind of my question too, because I know, like, I didn't remember who it was exactly, and I don't know again how to pronounce his name, but there was a guy who you see in the credits sometimes, Herbert Solo, or Solo, S-O-L-O-W, and again, he would have been like a producer or something, so it still just felt like, wow, had he left the show at this point? Were they mad at him? I also remember reading years ago, but I don't know if it was a reliable source. I don't know if you'd seen anything, that an early draft of this script probably would involve a lot more McCoy, because one of the space hippies was going to be his daughter from his failed marriage.
Oh, I was going to talk about this.
Oh, I would have liked that version of the script.
And
it was Arena,
at the wrong card,
and then McCoy threatens Chekhov with a gun for being his daughter.
Yeah, I think this was a DC Fontana script. It was originally going to be called Joanna, which was McCoy's daughter, and she would have been one of the space hippies. I don't quite know what the dynamic between her and Daddy would have been.
Probably not great.
But she would have hit it off hard with Kirk.
Ooh. Oh! You mean Kirk would have hit it off hard with her?
Ooh!
Or in her.
Hard, deep boner.
All over her.
I'd like to think that would have eventually involved just a really tense scene where McCoy is glaring at Kirk and says, I'm your physician. You trust me to put a hypo to your neck a lot. And just leaves it at that.
All McCoy has to do in that situation is threaten to show her Kirk's medical chart.
Yeah.
All of the STDs he's been treated for.
Sweetheart, you don't understand. Some of them have actually begun to mate within him, creating whole new STDs.
Yeah, there's nothing but mating happening with Kirk, inside and out.
But yeah, sorry, you were saying, Joanna.
Yeah, Joanna. I don't know what other differences there would have been, because I didn't read all of the original stuff. I know Walter Koenig hated what it turned into, and said it was so much of him acting out of character-y, and
yeah, I love that he was suddenly this like big like taskmaster disciplinarian when we've seen him like just kind of
you're usually a lovely
just like and like trullalalaing and fucking all the girls and whatever. Like I find it hard to believe that suddenly he was just really like I don't approve of your choices.
Yeah.
Like Chekhov, I think anyone who wants to fuck him, he probably doesn't really care about the choices they're making. They're making that one bad choice, and that's all he cares about.
So you have Dr. Severus here.
This is Dr. Severus Snape.
Yep.
I love it. What is it actually, Sevrin?
Sevrin, yeah, Dr. Sevrin with his weird ears that
looked
really bad. And this may just be me, he had weird teeth.
I didn't notice.
It felt like he had more teeth in his mouth than there should be room for.
Yeah, I actually know what you mean. He had like big teeth, and there was like a moment where he made like
they were big. They're just a lot of them.
He made like an especially crazy smile, and it was just like, ooh, that's too many teeth.
It's a shark.
He's got double rows of teeth.
Rows and rows of teeth, and when you bite into your victim, they just rip them out.
Maybe that's why that apple killed him so quick, because he got like a double chunk of that shit.
Ooh, there you go.
So I guess he's supposed to be like a mashup of Charles Manson and Timothy Leary, maybe?
Did I actually say Charles Manson in the intro?
I don't remember.
No,
okay, good, because we talked about...
Now, had Manson happened by this point?
Yeah,
he was in the 60s.
68, right?
So it would have just happened.
Yeah, that's the thing about this episode is to call this the space hippies episode. It's it's more space cultist episode.
Well, and her baby.
But
sure. Other people they call them the Sharon Tate murders, though.
I know.
I
get it.
Everybody in the house.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they're definitely a cult that grew out of sort of.
Corner.
I guess so.
A cult that grew out of a '60s writer's idea of hippies. Definitely, like their whole look and vibe and everything.
Well, in the context of the Manson family, it's interesting because prior to the Manson family and the Tate murders,
Thank you.
Hippies were kind of viewed as peace-loving, harmless people.
Not very patriotic, but yes.
Yeah, but then that happened, and suddenly hippies were dangerous potential killers.
Yeah. Which again made, I'm sure, the anti-hippie crowd very happy to have someone to point to and go, "We told you this is where it was going."
So when you say the crowd, you
you just
Nixon.
I
Just
bet there's a
actually
Nixon voice.
That was a terrifying laugh.
I mean, I remember sitting there at one point just listening to fucking one of the songs and one of the annoying hippie scenes, just going like, "This is why people voted for Nixon."
Yeah, he did. He said that.
This
shit.
is how so many Americans viewed hippies.
I'm
even
meeting
before.
you halfway, you dirty
Yeah.
hippies.
It was weird because Chekhov was acting out of character, and I was sitting there thinking, yeah, they should have just killed all the hippies because they
Spock,
really
what the
make
fuck was
you
up
hate
with
them.
Spock this episode? So he understands their philosophy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, okay, we'll give them benefit of the doubt. They want to go to Eden. They somehow can play this fucking bicycle wheel as an instrument. I don't understand how.
I wonder how any of the instruments worked because none of them seem to be like the hand gestures did
Listen,
not match.
Adam's
the
electric
sense.
guitar with 2 strings on it worked fine.
Yeah, and
No,
like
actually,
the
it
neck had like 4 buttons.
It
on
had
it.
7. Okay, I have an explanation. It was just an elaborate Guitar Hero controller. So he would hit the 1 string while hitting the 5 buttons,
There we
and
go.
it would magically play More Than a Feeling. If only it had been More Than a Feeling and not this garbage we got.
Yes.
Like, honestly, said this earlier, I would rather have so much less music that all the incidental music was also out of the fucking show than to have to listen to those fucking songs.
You know, I want someone to redo
I want us to redo.
Go on.
More Than a Feeling.
Oh. I want us to do the space hippie songs.
No.
Oof.
That,
See, the one-
specifically that one in the cantina with the girl and the guy, because it'll be perfect.
The one useful thing about the Space Hippie songs, there still could have been way less of them, and this still could have happened, but as a point you made, was the reprise of their little happy ditty while everyone is, like, dead on the ship is kind of wonderfully dark.
Yes.
But again, you could have had that without having the hit song, like, 5
Yeah,
times
6
first.
times.
You could have had it once, and then again.
What I was saying, and this is also like macabre and gross, but I kind of love the idea, is like if the whole series had ended on the pan out of them singing those creepy hippie songs while the whole crew is dead,
Holy
and that's
shit.
the end of the show. Can you imagine how
Nice.
fucked that would be?
If, like, Roddenberry heard they were canceled and
Yeah.
decided to go out in full spite
I
mode.
meant to check when they learned they were canceled because, there's only a couple episodes left at this point.
Yeah.
I know, that's crazy.
Which is Craytown.
Crazy
but
town.
Well, they get through the whole of the 3rd season, so maybe they didn't find out until after the season was over.
I don't know. When do you generally learn that you're renewed?
I would think it would be partway through.
Because
the
I know
season.
that they learned
They-
that they were renewed for season 3 during season 2, which is why the whole Assignment Earth thing was such a fucking nightmare.
Sometimes, I mean, just in general, like, sometimes shows genuinely don't find out until over the summer. Or will have gotten renewed and then someone will change their mind. I know, like, it's a weird example, but Gilligan's Island had been renewed for a 4th season. But this was... So, apparently the story I heard was it had been renewed for 4th season, but they had meanwhile canceled Gunsmoke because Gunsmoke's ratings had gone to fuck. But there was, like, one guy at the network who loved Gunsmoke. And he was like, what the fuck is this? You are not canceling Gunsmoke. And they're like, oh, for Christ's sakes, fine. So they had to cancel something they had renewed, and it was Gilligan's Island. without
Oh,
the
so they had
ads.
to go back on their contract?
Yeah.
Wait,
Shit.
so Gilligan's Island only had 3 seasons?
I think, either way, whatever Gilligan seasons last,
No, like really though.
unless, but I think it was 3.
Because they like jumped the shark hard in that show. Like they ran out of ideas really quick if
Well,
there's
'cause
only 3 seasons.
What can you have happen on a desert island? Not much. Sorry, how the hell did we get to... Oh, yeah, so yeah, we don't know when they were renewed.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm sure someone does. There's a nerd listening to this right now screaming the date, the exact date.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you,
an odd
thank you,
number
that
of
nerd.
days.
Well, we all know that whoever it was that gave them the axe, whenever it was Grandpa Simpson. There's an episode of The Simpsons where, like, people start confessing things they did, and Grandpa Simpson stands up and goes, I canceled Star Trek!
Oh, see, I'm assuming you just meant with all of our blank gazes at your face.
But let's be real here. Star Trek needed to be canceled.
I don't know. The second half of the 3rd season's been alright.
There've
like,
been a lot of good ones in this.
surprising, considering.
Considering how bad season 3 is notorious for being, there've been some really good chunks
It's
in
just
it.
definitely... It was just... The consistency was down. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like there's more shitty episodes...
Per
good-
capita.
to good episodes.
I mean, just talking about this episode, like Chekhov was acting weirdly out of character. I still think Spock was acting out of character in that
A little bit, yeah.
he really wanted to like jam with these guys. He really wanted to like these guys are fucking criminals. They stole a ship.
He has lots of problematic favorites. He really liked that doctor guy that came up with that robot that...
And Hitler.
Yeah, that's what I forgot about that.
Maybe that should have been the first one.
The most problematic fandom that Spock is a part of is the Hitler fandom. Yeah, I guess so. Like, I honestly just think that, like, them being criminals and him, like, thinking he's insane probably just made him more fascinated. Like, in a way, I could totally connect to Spock in that, because I think serial killers and all that shit are the most fascinating things ever. Like, I've read Helter Skelter, which is, like, the account of Joseph Bugliosi about the Manson murder trials, and it's like he was the lawyer who, like, got them, like, found guilty, and I don't know words.
Convicted.
That's it. And and it's dry, but I read the whole thing. And so, especially if they were some kind of cuckoo ball cult, I could totally see being really interested in them.
They tried to make it make some sense with Spock's whole, like, they feel like aliens in their own world, which I am familiar with. But it was a Spock oddly in touch with his emotions, certainly.
It's kind of a theme between these two episodes in a way.
I do.
If having a boner is an emotion.
I forget what the other episode was again. Yes, that one.
It was funny, though. I did kind of want when whatever his name is and their people took over... Dr. Sevrin took over auxiliary control. I half wanted Spock to go on the comm and be like, Adam, we jammed. It was my understanding that a jam is a bond which is unbreakable. This betrayal is disheartening.
I am not Herbert.
He wasn't. He knew.
I loved it. That was the best.
That was pretty funny.
Hey, he's not Herbert. Woo!
And Kirk's just standing there like, I don't know what's going on.
You damn kids.
One.
Yeah.
We are one.
Gaping vagina.
Yeah, the vagina. Why is the symbol of their cult?
Well, I think it was actually more like that.
It was more of a triangle.
Symbol.
Oh, was it? Yeah, no, it's a vag. It's totally a vag.
That's the vagina symbol.
Yeah.
Didn't you make a fisted asshole joke at one point?
Oh,
During
These huge vagina women are getting away with murder.
Did I?
You did.
I did?
Yeah.
Speaking of
When
letting
did I
these,
do that? All right, go on. Sorry.
yeah. Speaking of letting these huge vagina people get away with murder, we also let them fucking rampage around on the ship. Because we always do.
Chris pointed that
because
out.
Because apparently one of their members is the son of an ambassador or something or other. Fuck.
Yeah.
Some fucking.
Yeah, was that
thing.
Adam or was that fucking
No,
rainbow
that was
guy?
purple hair guy.
That was Tango Rad.
Right.
Whoa,
with the grapes
rad.
on his head, on his
Yeah.
face.
I bet he had a rad tungo.
No.
He gives a rad tungo.
Yeah, and I did
My
like
asshole.
it was so funny because the show was so bizarre, and it's like, you know, Spock was sympathetic to their cause, and
We have to treat them with extreme tolerance. Tolerance to the extreme.
well, yeah, like it was so weird because the show clearly was mostly anti-hippie. Like Kirk was not acting out of character.
It was anti, yet it also wasn't.
Well, that's right. That's what's strange. It's like
Scotty was pretty anti-hippie. Why did kids have to be foolish or whatever the
well,
fuck?
I do like leaving Kirk. I was like, come on, Scotty, you don't want to get in trouble in that age. But even then, it was definitely this like they'll come round attitude.
Yeah.
So, but like Kirk being like, what the fuck, made sense. But then there was like, you know, like Spock being sympathetic to their cause, and even McCoy, although not really voicing much of an opinion, did say like, yeah, our sterile society did kind of create this horrific disease. Womp womp. But it was weird because it was sort of trying to have its cake and eat it too. Like, it didn't want to totally...
Have its cake and eat its stew.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
It didn't want to totally
Cake and
alienate
stew.
any hippie sympathizers in the audience, but it kind of mostly wanted to toe a more conservative line.
That could be the name of a comedy duo. Cake and Stew.
Life is too short to not eat dessert first, ladies and gentlemen.
So I do feel like, because it was kind of trying to have it both ways, it sort of suffered for that. Mm-hmm. But aside from that and the way too many songs...
Oh, so many songs.
And the fact that, again, it is too easy to take over this fucking ship. Six of
Yeah.
the dippiest shitheads
They
in
did
the
do a
quadrant.
new neck maneuver.
They did, yes!
And,
Oh my God, the whatever his race is called, neck poke.
And I was like, wow, not only did they knock them out, they made them jizz in their pants first.
Yeah.
Both of the guys were like, oh. And I was
Whoa.
just like, ooh. And it was consistent. Because the first guy, you know, it could have just been, that was
guy.
his take on how him passing out would be. But the next guy was also like, ugh.
So they were told to... That's really what they should have done to try to convert people. It's like, look, he's going to knock you out, which is going to suck. But before you pass out, you are going to have the best orgasm. And if you join us, he'll be around all the time.
It's like strangle baiting.
Now,
Is that what that's called?
Isn't it?
I like it. Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
Sphincter.
Well, no, when it's autoerotic, it's when you're alone with a...
Yeah, but masturbating is by yourself, so strangle baiting.
Oh, I thought you said strangle banging.
Oh, no.
No, strangle baiting.
Okay, yes.
If you're strangle banging, that's just breath play, usually.
Okay, there is a word for that. Good.
Sure, yeah.
So, did anybody else, I mean, Chris, you being a connoisseur, pick up on the similarities here between this episode and The Final Frontier?
I was kind of thinking, like,
religious cult taking over the Enterprise.
I did think about that at one point. It's like, well, now we see where they kind of may have got the idea. Yeah. And isn't Sulu one of the first ones to go over too?
See, I was curious whether Sulu was actually going over, or whether he was just giving them like a time.
So I meant in Star Trek V. I think he's one of the first ones to go over to Cybok. Yeah. And over here, he certainly, like you said, I don't think he fully goes over.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was buying it. He looked like he was just smiling like, what
he wanted to get it in.
Yeah, that's what it was like. Look, if we can end up in a bedroom together later, I'll wear your funny little egg badge.
Egg with an infinity sign.
Chris loved the egg badge.
Yeah, and
they look like they were made of silly putty.
Can we make some?
Okay.
Can we have crafting corner and make egg badges?
Corner.
Yeah, the inconsistency of the egg badge.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, like some the yolk was higher up. They probably do actually, and that would explain.
Yeah, guys, they're made from fucking. They completely sourced all the materials themselves. No animals were harmed in the making of their badges. They cultivated the crop. Come on now.
They're cage-free egg badges.
Cage-free.
But yeah,
free-range egg badges.
So can we talk about what a fucking Chekhov's gun the fucking Romulans were in this episode?
Oh, yeah, it was silly.
The gun that never got fired.
I was going to say, they never showed up either.
Well, just like Chekhov's gun.
I don't think Chekhov ever got to fire either.
But
they kept, the whole episode was alluding to, if the Romulans show up...
why even put Eden in Romulan territory?
Try to explain to them the situation.
Yeah, it never really...
Yeah, it was unnecessary.
I wonder if the earlier version of the script had it actually being an issue.
Maybe it was just we can't go. This is a specific reason why we can't go that way. Not the fact that you're prisoners that we have to bring back to wherever the fuck it is we're bringing you. Because you stole a ship.
That was sufficient. Like that thing, I actually admittedly kind of forgot about the whole Romulan angle because nothing comes of it.
Yeah.
You stole fizzy lifting drinks.
You lose, sir.
Good day, sir.
But I think that this episode, and probably the next one too, and... the reason why I said that Star Trek needed to be canceled is because even the episodes that we really liked this season were way too much filler in them, I think.
Well, I think we've definitely had more caveats as well.
Yeah, it's always like, man, this was great. And my thought is always, this episode's good, this is a good story, it could have been told in half the time.
Yeah.
I feel like if we went and rewatched the first half of season 1, we'd be like, oh yeah, these were really good.
This is what good episodes
Except
were like.
Miri.
Except Miri.
Miri was basically these fucking kids grown up.
I feel like early on they felt like they've actually filled, 50 minutes or whatever.
Ooh, with the exception of the first Federation episode, that one had a lot of padding, I remember.
Oh, the Baylock episode?
Yeah. There was a lot of are we gonna move on to that scene?
Yeah, that's true.
But you're right, it is, I think, more common now than it was. Like, we definitely, throughout, we've seen episodes where there was padding, but I feel like we've seen more in the last few weeks than we had early on.
Well, we haven't had 4 or 5 different fucking songs yet.
That's true. Yeah. God, those songs.
It'll also be interesting, I think. I'll be interested to see how, because the animated series is going to be...
Yeah, they're like half-hour episodes, approximately.
20
probably like 23 or 4 minutes with the commercial.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get more, in that condensed time frame, more focused.
Or if they just feel rushed.
Plus, we won't have all the bad costumes and shit.
Instead, we'll have bad animation.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because
that's preferable.
I'm sure it was like lowest bidder animation.
Well, and also it was the 1970s, which in general, aside from maybe some of the movies, I don't know about that, but American television animation was shit in the 60s and 70s.
Right?
Yes, I was thinking
it wasn't all Hanna-Barbera, but
shit
certainly it was all very low budget, as few frames as possible.
Yeah.
Were the Flintstones
just
and the
mouth
Jetsons in the
moves.
70s?
Late 60s, I think.
Late 60s? Oh, okay. I couldn't really remember.
Anyway, space hippies.
Spiffies. Yeah, I didn't like the musical numbers. I think it felt like a fucking Joss Whedon episode. For fuck's sake.
So you said Napier wrote those?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Can I think the little blonde chick? I think the two of them
gosh.
were musicians and shit.
Oh god, it means they were fucking in real life. That's a
I'm
weird
sure
thought.
everybody was fucking in real life.
Yes, people do tend to fuck in real life, otherwise
Yeah.
there'd be no real life. But what I mean is, you know.
Together, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jake understood that was your...
Yeah, but I meant like all the cast. I was assuming it was a constant
Just a huge orgy, yeah. They'd get together at Shatner's pad after filming.
Oh, what was up with White Uhura?
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah, white horror.
Fuck her!
I don't know where the fuck... As soon as she was like, communication channels are open, I was like, that's not...
Yeah, we both, like, simultaneously, like, who the fuck are you?
Get the fuck off my bridge.
Like, if any episode would have benefited from Uhura's singing, it would have been this one.
Yeah.
No
Oh, good
shit,
point.
right?
She probably, like, walked off the set because they're like, okay, we're having a musical episode. And she's like, oh, great. And they're like, no.
Oh.
It's gonna be some fucking white privileged kid
It'll
singing.
just be Spock, yeah. Ooh.
Ooh. Well, Spock didn't actually sing. I was actually
He played
hoping that
his
Spock would sing, because he did sing in one other episode, didn't he? I'm not making that up. Did he
I
at
swear
one point
he's only
sing?
ever played,
I thought he sang a song.
but I don't remember.
There was one where he was being mind controlled where he was, I think, singing songs, but I think that there was
Yeah,
another episode where he actually was playing the lute and singing a song.
I do like that his little
Or the
lute,
lyre, or-
which up until now has strictly been an acoustic instrument, suddenly has all these settings, and it can be
Yeah.
like in a weird electric
Totally
field.
electric guitar. That was
yeah,
great.
when fucking Fuckface picked it up, it sounded like an electric guitar. It was very
Yeah.
weird.
God, it was such a bad episode.
Ah, man, the fucking drum circle
I mean,
guy,
that
the
song
guy with the
is-
fucking drum.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that kind of drum, by the way.
What kind of drum was it? I don't even remember.
Hand drum, like a
bongo?
like a bongo, but not a bongo.
Looks like a bowl
Not
with a
every
lid.
hand drum is a bongo, right?
No.
Probably not, but any hand drum a white guy
Oh my-
owns is usually a bongo.
That's true. Well, I gotta say, man, I have a real problem. I think that's just a fucking hippie thing too. Is fucking hand drums. They fucking love them. People have fucking drum circles where it's just a bunch of fucking assholes sitting in a circle. I can feel the fucking shit flowing through my shithole, and it's so fucking stupid. I fucking oh man.
So, you're our Captain Kirk today.
Spiritual bullshit just irritates me so much.
Anything else about space hippies, or do we want to move on?
The last thing that I wrote down was that the Aurora was just the Tholian ship with added nacelles.
I thought it looked familiar.
Except in the high def or the remaster Jake and I watched, it was something else.
Yeah, they replaced it with some other.
Yeah, no, it was very much just the Tholian ship in ours. I'm glad, because I was sitting there like, I feel like this is probably a reuse, but I don't know what.
Yeah, they just taped some nacelles onto it.
Okay.
I had no idea. None of them. I have no idea what any of them look like. I couldn't pick the Enterprise out of a lineup. That's not
We
true.
got a lineup
I-
right behind you.
Fuck, they're all the Enterprise. Except for that one. Anything else about...
I'm happy to move on.
ready to
and
get our
stop
heads-
singing.
Stop doing acid and get our heads into the clouds?
Is that's
Question
the
mark?
reverse order?
Let's do some.
I
Let's
know.
huff some rocks.
Xenite.
Yeah, let's get dumb. Let's get stupid, people. Mm-hmm. Or too late.
Oh, what's fun about this episode? This was the same writer as Trouble with Tribbles.
Huh.
Oh, cool, the fan dude.
Yeah.
Neat.
I'm assuming this one was actually commissioned. But the original script had Kirk force the two sides into a room together, so they would force them to talk it out, and never had the fucking like masks and shit. So there was never an actual like way to make them equal. He would just like told them talk it out and make it work. Bye, and then they left, and it was supposed to end on this extra vague note of we don't know how we feel about this, we don't know if we've helped or not or made things worse, but it's not our job.
We got our rocks.
We're totally
We got our
fucking with
rocks
the Prime
off
Directive
the
right
planet.
now.
I
Cut our rocks off.
just want to know, like, did the Federation know the full deal with this planet when they let them in, or
Dude.
like were they just okay with it because fuck it?
I already
they
told
were-
you
they were
there was
originally-
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. They were originally not supposed to even go to the mines at all. They said,
Yeah.
we put a fucking rush order on this. We're just going to go straight to the source, get the
Yeah.
Xenite, and go. And then they're like, oh, shit. Now that we've bypassed the front door and come in through the back, we can see all the shady dealings going on in this manufacturing plant.
Which means the Federation did a very bad job of researching when they inducted these people.
That's like I said though, they totally did the research, and the research was done by a crooked admiral who only gave a shit about this mineral, whatever the fuck it is,
Yeah.
and was like, "Oh, slaves? We don't really give a fuck as long as you give us what we want." You know,
Maybe.
Yeah, according to Plasus, everything's cool.
I haven't seen it yet, but there is apparently an episode of Enterprise that serves as a prequel to this, and I think that Archer might accidentally cause this society or something. I don't know the
damn
details.
it, Archer. This is why you need
Archer's
the primary.
Archer's like, this rock smells great.
Now, how is it, by the way? Because apparently this stuff is used pretty extensively throughout the galaxy, or at least throughout the Federation.
Once it's refined, it's fine.
But how is it no
Refined.
one before McCoy thought to test its pre-refined version to go, holy shit, it is super poisonous?
Because they probably assumed that shit was happening on planet, and the people on planet were like, no, we don't see any problem. I mean, we've got the fucking idiots handling it, so it's fine.
It's invisible. Nothing that's invisible can hurt you.
Yeah, what the fuck? These fucking 1%er fucking pieces of shit in their fucking Cloud City, fucking Lando fucking Calrissian.
Thank you, I was going to make a Bespin joke.
Fucking this
someone
deal
else did.
keeps getting worse. Fuck those people, okay?
Actually, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. The deal does keep getting worse.
Yeah, it does. They're the
Oh my god, George Lucas ripped this episode off for Empire.
I'm making it part of the deal.
Son of a bitch!
I don't alter it any further.
So how did because obviously we watched the original, so the Cloud City itself was just
A painting.
a
Yeah,
bad
on a
painting of the cloud.
backdrop.
So they didn't give you a nice CG city or
You
anything?
know, it looked like it was they made the exterior shot of the close-ups of the city.
Yeah.
Were nice.
Okay.
From the ground, when they look up and see the city, it looks
It's a
pretty
painting.
stupid. Yeah.
Okay, so they didn't change that part. Because, yeah, that's what it was for us. I think the way you put it, Caitlin, was like,
It's like a painting. It's like they painted the city itself on a backdrop that was obviously just like a normal set backdrop, but then they like kind of floated some kind of cloud thing in front of it to give it like to lend it like a almost 3D sort of situation happening, but it just made it look like you had some piece of cloud floating over the city, like it was.
Yeah, they
But
probably
I mean,
cleaned it
It's
up
the
a
obsession
little.
monster. What are you doing here?
yeah, him and Melvar have a poker game tonight.
You know, so I was trying to figure out, like, what was the commentary here? Was it
Workers'
1%er?
rights?
Was it 1%er sort of criticism? Because I really got... Because the attitude of particularly girly face
Droxine?
particularly her attitude towards the dopes in the mines was, you know, oh, they're too dumb to understand that they have, you know...
Out
of sight, out of mind.
It felt like the stereotypical view that a lot of people in this country held / maybe still hold, that like African American people are
Yeah.
inherently less intelligent, and that's a thing.
Yeah.
That, like, even if you
Yeah, people thought
teach, you know, the people you think are inferior, they can still only get
Yeah.
so high.
Oh, there was like this altruistic thing too. It's like,
We
oh,
let
you know,
them.
we're helping them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, well,
we're-
that's again,
We're
that's,
teaching them a trade.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, that's part of it
"Ooh,
too, you know?
Fucking nut.
They are awful, but
Well-
it is, I think, like you said, Caitlin, like, it's a little more disconcerting because so much of it is so familiar still.
It's also very interesting because they talked about, you know, I don't know how long they've had the Cloud City, and the Cloud City itself is kind of cool because it's, you know, anti-gravitational city that hovers somehow.
Yeah.
That I think
Science.
Spock was impressed by. But when did all the elite class, the Cloud City folk, go to Stratos? Because on the surface, everyone was, you know, back when everyone lived on the surface, they were more equal. And they don't even remember that anymore. They don't think about it. They're like, no. Even on the surface, we were the ones who were elite enough to come up here. And we're like, what actually happened?
Presumably at some point, somehow, even on the surface, they got to a point where some people weren't mining,
No,
and eventually they just sort of, because they weren't in the caves.
Well, they needed. So there was somebody became the boss. There was like, and that naturally created. Listen, the workers and management will never have anything in common, right? So, and there had to have been somebody managing it, right? You know, otherwise the workers would have fucking not done their work.
Yeah.
In
But-
this situation.
yeah, but at that point, why would they have even been mining? I think it was evolution. I think probably
they
they
evolved to mine.
No, they evolved so that 10% of the population or whatever,
The ones who didn't
wasn't
go in the
affected
mines?
by the... No, like, they probably were all in the mines. They probably all lived in these caves, because they were probably sort of primitive in the beginning. Presumably, they had, like, their Stone Age also at some point, because they all started there, right? So, probably there were caves, and probably just like, you know, in life, assuming you subscribe to the belief of evolution, which I do, they, slowly but surely, some of them bred and didn't have the effect of the dust, would be my guess.
I don't know. I feel like the point is everybody is affected by the dust, because even when Plasus goes down there, he's eventually affected by the dust.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
I thought that the
That's
effect
why he
of
got
the dust.
so
Oh, why he
violent.
got violent? But why was he affected and what's her name wasn't? I assumed that the only one who was actually being affected by the dust was Kirk, because he had been down there a long time.
And he's an
'Cause
outsider
Plasus
who
was
doesn't
there.
have a built-in
Right,
immunity.
Plasus was there for like 8 seconds, and I feel like it's...
That
It
I
was
think,
an hour, he said.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that may have just been a...
But by the time he had been there for an hour, Kirk had been there for an extra half
couple
hour or
more,
something.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Well,
my impression was that he was fighting Kirk because Kirk was trying to kill him.
Well, no, because he yanked the things out of the wall to be like, I'm not gonna murder you. Like, it was less a self-defense thing and more of a bloodlust thing.
Yeah, I think the implication I got was that everybody who's in the presence of that gas for any amount of time is going to develop the stupidity syndrome.
Yeah. It occurs to me, I'm only thinking this right now, but like, you figure the non-gassed people, the Cloud City folks, are like, supposed to be kind of extra special clever, and they sort of compare them to Vulcans a bit. So does that just mean the regular, like, the troglodytes are actually just on the same level as normal humans?
I don't
Yeah,
believe
maybe.
that the Cloud people are on the same level as Vulcans. And I think
Yeah, I think they're arrogant
Spock gave him a good
fucknuts.
eyebrow, like, really? You're better
Yeah.
than me? No.
Yeah, I think that the fucking Cloud people are fucking arrogant fucking assholes.
I like
think,
their art. Some of their arts were cool.
Yeah. I think that they're fucking slave-owning scumbags, and I think that really what the troglodytes should have been doing, honestly, and they should have been blowing up those mines. There
Yeah, they should have.
Like, they just stealing the rocks so that to capture Captain Kirk and make him a hostage.
Yeah, how did they even know he was coming?
Yeah. No, they should have...
Well, they just knew it. They knew a starship was there to pick up
They should have fucking
Well, they thought it was-
blown up the mine
Or the
and
Enterprise, frankly.
said there's no fucking rocks until you hear us out.
Yeah.
I
Well,
actually,
they thought that the Enterprise was there.
as an intimidation thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. They didn't even realize that there was a need for the Xenite. Like, oh, you have
Yeah.
to go and, like, give it to Merrick 2
They
to
didn't-
eat their veggies.
If I were fucking Varna, what?
Vanna.
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 Yeah, Vanna's from...
I would have been taking a dump on Crassus's bed every fucking day.
Yeah.
Just squatting down,
Yeah.
laying on a log.
Maybe she did. Maybe that's why she got kicked out or
Maybe.
whatever.
Maybe.
Yeah, what was Vanna's story? Because they said, like,
She-
she was raised in Cloud City?
She had
or
been
what?
taken from the caves to serve as like a
Yeah,
servant.
she's like a lady in
their
waiting
home.
or some shit.
'Cause, so yeah, they would take what's the because it's not troglodyte but
Troglodyte.
troglodytes.
Trogdor.
They would take troglodytes to be like servants and members of their security staff.
Oh, and that
Huh.
just makes the
Yeah.
black people are inferior thing even more. Because I was just thinking, like, what if it was also... Of course, in the 60s, they probably didn't even give a shit. But I was also thinking, because they talk about, like, their lowered intellect, I was wondering if maybe this was also, in some way, a commentary on the treatment of intellectually disabled and other differently abled people. Just because I feel like, in terms of the school system, even when I was in school, I felt like they probably weren't doing as much as they could have to try to help the people who were differently abled. And in the 60s, I'm sure they weren't. And I'm sure that the actual thing is they're probably making like I would guess the African American comparison because it's topical, it's the 60s, civil rights. But I also wonder if you could make the argument that it also is a little bit to do with like the idea that the differently abled are sort of viewed as useless. And why do
You
you
keep using this term, differently abled. I've never heard this before. What is differently abled?
Someone who is physically handicapped is probably how you might
Okay.
blind or deaf or unable to walk or
I'm not familiar with that term.
no worries.
Is it just another word for disabled?
It's more
Well,
politically correct.
it's more politically correct
Okay.
because disabled
because
sort of makes it sound like
it's more encompassing too.
well, and disabled makes it sound like you don't work, you can't do thing. And the reality is that differently abled people live full, enriched lives and all are helpful in life and the workforce and all these things.
yeah.
Which is, no, I know you know. I'm just saying that, like, I think disabled It's kind of like the difference between calling someone like a depressive and calling someone a depressed person. It's like you're kind of identifying them by like what's wrong versus like taking their humanity in a way. I don't really know. I don't know. I didn't mean to make this disability corner, but my point simply being
Disability corner.
my point simply being that probably you could make an argument that the failings of this system and the treatment of these like lower intellectual people, maybe you could draw a comparison to the way society kind of shunts differently able than your special education students through the system just to get them through kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know.
I mean,
I'm sure that's not what they were doing. But
Yeah,
I bet
like
you
you
still
said, I mean, I
could.
think it's a fair reading now, but I think, like you said at the time,
Almost certainly.
they just didn't
Yeah.
even care.
That's
frankly.
right. No, of
So-
course not. I mean,
So it wasn't even a thought, you know.
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
you can certainly try to make the parallels now, but again, at the time, it was just like I said, it was the '60s, and the civil rights movement was in full
I was
swing.
gonna say black
No, I'd
people
even-
weren't even being considered
I'd
yet,
even
really.
I'd
so.
even back it up further and be like, it's even workers' rights in general. It's working conditions.
Yeah.
When was the Triangle Factory fire? Keep forgetting.
30s.
Oh,
or
okay,
20s?
that's way further back. But just the
When
1%.
did Upton Sinclair write that book? Is that the
When?
guy, Upton Sinclair, right? The
think so,
Jungle,
yeah.
or whatever it was called?
Mhm.
It's called The Jungle? Man.
Welcome to the jungle.
That's the one.
We need a fight game.
Yeah, he actually that was a
selling sucks so bad, and so does everything else bad is bad.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good musical improv, actually. I would throw my panties on stage for that.
Sweet.
yeah, I mean, so much stuff was in sort of upheaval in the '60s. I'm
Yeah,
sure there
and
were
the thing is,
major
like,
workers' rights things as well.
Yeah, because it's also specific. Like workers' rights and civil rights always tie very closely together.
Right,
so.
boycotting and like saying
Well,
I'm not going to go to my
where-
job and this sort of thing too. There's like a peaceful protest situation.
This is probably also when was the EPA formed?
Under Nixon's tenure,
So it
so...
would have been.
Anywhere from '68 to '74.
Well, my point is that this would be so. Environmentalism was also something that people were clearly aware of.
Speaking of environmentalism, what did you think of their stupid masks? The filter masks?
That looked like they just had bought some like painter's masks and glued on some spice tubes.
And put it over
Ooh,
the fucking
delicious.
top of the head?
That's how
the
you
way
can tell
that
it's the future.
The way that the mask attached, like I have
Was
a
done.
respirator downstairs that like has like a strap. It pulls over your head. It's great, but like
Does it have like a fucking coat hanger up
No,
your
it
forehead?
doesn't have
Picturing
that.
them all speaking like Bane, you know?
oh yes, right, right.
You were mine.
I
bet
Hey,
look, poor McCoy just whipped
Big
this
man.
thing up in 5
Right,
minutes.
right.
Here, you really wanted it now. I couldn't find another strap, so it has to go up the face.
I was born in the bat, babe.
Jake is talking again.
You chose the bat.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, for all that we're making fun of it being like, it was to make it look futuristic. I remember there's a period in like maybe 10 years ago where some company actually did try to shill these like stupid fucking over the top of the head sunglasses.
Stop.
Jeez.
Wish I was kidding.
Stop.
I saw people with them. I think it was like intended for joggers or cyclers or something. I think there was it could like go under your helmet easily or something. I actually saw people with them, and I just thought you should probably just be sent to the moon without an air tank.
Wow. But with the sunglasses, right?
Oh god, yes. So they understand why they've been sent there.
We also see some fucking sunglasses in this episode.
Oh, yeah,
Those
the
weird
little-
visor
Oh
things.
yeah, those are pretty. Those remind me of Doc Brown's like
Oh, future glasses.
future glasses.
Yeah.
Damn, these
They're
were some
shields.
future glasses.
Because
So-
apparently, when it's convenient to the plot, they don't like light, but they didn't really seem to have much of an issue with it the few times.
What was the torture device?
Ooh,
Oh, they had a
Lights.
fucking torture device.
Yeah, which they had disguised as art, which is very clever.
Was it? Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's
Well, I mean,
fantastic.
Maybe that's them making like a statement about how modern art is basically torture.
I mean, I don't know if that was the intent, or just like it fit in with the culture. You know, that even when they make a torture device, they can't help but make something that's kind of
Beautiful.
aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
They strap you to the whipping pole and whip
Yeah.
you with light.
Well, I don't even think that's that weird. Like, I mean, have you ever seen what is that thing called?
Clockwork Orange.
No, God, no. I've never seen it actually. But what's that spiky thing?
Oh, the
Iron
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden is like it's not pretty, but it's like I don't know. It's interesting. It's
When it's shut,
It's
it could be
decorative.
aesthetically pleasant.
yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
Except
I
for all
don't
the
know.
blood draining out.
Well,
of
you
it.
know, after you've cleaned it.
Oh, okay.
They don't clean those ever.
Why
But you
bother?
could get an infection.
They didn't know what infections were back
Yeah.
then.
What are germs? IR doggo.
Yeah, so Droxine wanted to bang Spock.
And this is actually
She
it's
had a
interesting.
fucking ear fetish, I think.
Well, yeah, no, she definitely because
Europe?
his exquisitely shaped ears.
Oh, boing!
It's interesting, though. I feel like we were talking about, during the original Ponfar episode, discussing the fact that in that episode, the whole 7-year thing hadn't been established, and we posited at the time that that wouldn't become canonical until Star Trek 3, but we were, in fact, proven wrong here. Where this seems to be where the every 7 years thing was brought up directly.
Shit. And going back to the previous episode, Pavel Andreevich.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Irina called him Pavel Andreevich.
I noticed that.
Sorry, this has been Throwback Thursday. Here we go.
Yeah. But yeah, so
More like
that's
Andrea, bitch.
So that's where this was established, the 7 years thing. That was so awkward, too. She was like, so there's definitely no way you could maybe with the hair? And Spock seemed kind of into it, which was even weirder.
No, he was absolutely into it.
He's like,
He was like, well, you can make exceptions.
I love how they juxtaposed all the Ponfar talk with Kirk wrestling sexually with
Yeah,
Donna.
that's true.
Uncomfortable.
That was weird.
Very
She was going to
uncomfortable.
kill him with her weird knife.
Yeah, but
she said she just wanted to
And
take
she
him
was
hostage.
so bad, man. She fucking every opportunity,
this kid.
every opportunity she had, she fucking stabbed him in the back.
Well,
Christopher Walken?
dumb
This
gas.
is.
Dumb gas made her not recognize a good thing.
Well, that's the thing.
Jennifer Walken.
Like, I give her a lot of credit for being a fucking player of the game in this episode, because first she tries to capture Kirk and Spock. Then she does the thing where she sneaks into the bedroom, tries to capture him again. Then she plays along. She's like,
Yeah.
she's like, yeah,
I trust you.
yeah, I trust you. And then the first thing she does is betrays him.
Yeah.
So, like,
Although she never is quite ready for Kirk to fight dirty. Or fight at all, really. Like, he keeps catching her off guard in that way. Like,
I think she was the smartest of all.
I think that was the implication of the way it ended, yes.
There was a good line that Plasus says. I don't think it's to her. I think it's to the other troglodyte that jumps off fucking Cloud City.
Yeah.
Where he says something like, "Well, I would suggest you increase your knowledge."
Oh,
and then
yeah.
the guy says, "Troglodytes can't."
According to you. Like, there was that burn in there. Like, make up your mind, big hair.
What do you want? Do you want us to be subservient mind robots,
Yes,
or
that's
do you
what they
want
want.
us to be able to talk with you?
No.
I will say, though, while I complimented what was it, Plasus?
Plasus.
Complimented his hair earlier, I could have done without his beard.
I don't remember his beard.
So
I
it was
love
a nice beard, but then for like no reason he took out just like a little bit of the chin.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
like
even,
an opposite soul. It was like an inverted soul patch.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like enough had been taken out that you thought they were going for mutton chops, It was just like they took out a tiny bit of the middle.
That's weird.
So it just like looked like he couldn't grow hair there or something. It was just like, what's going on?
It was clearly artistic expression.
Yeah, it's,
that's
it's
yeah.
an art form,
It's a
much like
work
his
of
daughter.
art.
You know what I fucking loved was Droxine's cape.
Tits.
That cape was actually very good.
It was like a big
Yeah,
mermaid
her tits
tail.
were nice. I did like the cape too.
Yeah, yeah.
And the eye makeup on her and
Vana, when she was...
They both had awesome
I
eye
don't know. There was
makeup.
something weird about Droxine's face. I couldn't.
Oh yeah,
quite
she had a
place.
weird face, but the eye
I
makeup
couldn't
was
tell
on
if it was
point.
her ears were too low or her face was too
I
pointy.
feel like,
or
yeah, she
The
had
shape
like
of her
really.
nostrils was a little weird.
I think
Was
she
it?
also had like really like severe cheekbones, and I think that they like contoured the shit out of it and like hollowed her cheeks out or some shit. She is a weird. I agree. There was some
Yeah.
face thing happening there.
Great mermaid cape.
But the cape was
was
the way
awesome.
when they showed from behind the way she
I
moved.
I only watched with Roxine.
It billowed perfectly every time, though. Like, whoever made that made
That
it
was lovely.
structurally perfect. Like, that was the best work of art in the fucking thing, was that cape.
I know.
My
I want one.
linens smell like a spring day when I used Droxine.
Jake is here. Jake is often here.
Jake hasn't even been drinking this episode.
That's true.
New and improved maximum strength Droxine.
I don't know. Jake's been having a day. Apparently, he hit his head in the basement several
Thrice.
times.
So he's not drunk, he's concussed.
Jesus Christ.
I was also spraying solvents.
So you're full troglodyte right now.
Yeah.
Several concussions and inhalants.
Full troglodyte.
And you got yourself stuck in
You never
fly
go
paper
full
right
troglodyte.
Wait, did you actually get yourself stuck in fly paper?
I did get my head stuck in fly paper. With flies in it.
Oh my god.
It was the worst. It was the
Was
worst.
this before or after the multiple concussions
This
and
was-
the
this
and the
was-
huffing?
I think it was immediately prior to 1 because I was leaning over I had the flypaper. I had the flypaper, and I was leaning over to grab something, and I leaned over, and I didn't realize until I pulled back that I had attached myself to the
Attached to your face?
No, it was at my head. My head was in my hair, and I was like, fuck! And then I pulled back, and then I hit my head.
So never mind. You haven't gone full troglodyte. You've gone full curly fine.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was really frustrating, and then I got really upset, and I thought there was going to be flies transferred from the paper into my hair.
No chance of that.
Yeah,
it's too sticky for that.
So I peeled it out and threw it away. And
Just the idea of that is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Gross. It was wrong. It's so bad.
Jake's no good. What is it?
I don't know.
Very bad.
Very bad.
Something. Very bad day.
There's several things.
This is bad.
Several kinds of bad day.
So, yeah.
Jakety Snicket's
I
series of
tried
unfortunate
myself
events.
in the basement pretty bad.
While mining for Xenite.
Yeah.
Is that like a euphemism for picking his nose, though?
Oh, I'm using that.
Scratching his balls.
And I'm going to use the mystery machine for vagina, so everybody's happy today.
Oh, Christ.
Nice. Oh, another
Where
touch
the
I
hell were
liked.
we? Yeah.
Well, another touch I liked was the beam sounds on Ardana had a different noise than the beam sounds on the Enterprise.
Oh yeah, you actually noted that the effect was different.
Yeah, it
at
had a
the time.
different effect. Did
I
yours
liked
version
it.
have a different effect as well, or just a different noise?
I know there was a different noise.
No,
Was it effect?
Yeah,
Yeah.
different visual.
I do like when they do
I
that.
didn't even notice it. I was like, huh.
Yeah, because I feel like that's something that...
Yeah.
I mean, I think I said this before, but I feel like as time goes on, it just sort of becomes... Everyone has the same effect, but different colors.
They had a different one on the Empath, too, when the weird people who had Gem hostage were doing that.
Yeah.
This episode could have been a half-hour episode.
This one?
Do you think?
Same with the other
Cut
one.
some of the wrestling matches between
Cut the
Vaughn
wrestling
and Kirk.
matches. It was just...
Some of the mining with your
Cut out
hands.
Spock's boner.
I don't know if it could have been a half hour, but it probably could have been like maybe 40 minutes.
I think it could have been...
Maybe 45.
I think... I would have cut this episode with extreme prejudice.
The only thing...
Extreme tolerance. So extreme.
The only thing that felt like overt padding to me was that one discussion between Dickhead and his daughter when they were waiting to beam him up.
Yeah,
like that felt like we ran short. Everything else felt okay.
Yeah, I noticed that when there was a weird interaction between Scott and Spock, where they're talking about, they want us to beam up. When? Immediately. Oh, immediately? Yeah, immediately. Well, we should get on that end. Yeah, go ahead. Why is this scene necessary?
That's
They're just
true.
doing their fucking jobs.
Well, because wasn't there then a problem? Oh no, that's
That
why.
was the
because
padding
there was a
scene.
problem. Oh yeah,
she
that's
was
true.
too close to her papa, because of course she was.
Yeah, stupid. Also, did you notice how at the very beginning of the episode, Spock's like, yes, they have completely eradicated all forms of violence. And then we find out that they're super fucking
They
violent.
love killing
There's
as long as
fucking
it's...
killing. There's
troglodytes.
jumping off of buildings.
Yeah, what were they going to do? They were going to
torture machines.
Yeah, they were going to tie that guy to
The
the
guy
rostrum.
says if Jim Kirk ever shows his face around this town again, you kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they like, I really do feel like they just horribly misrepresented themselves to the Federation. And I really feel like Kirk's threat just should have been, I am going back to our version of The Hague and ratting you guys out so bad. Like at the end where Vanna was like, maybe you forget he abducted you and he'll forget you attacked him and this and that. It's like, Kirk should be like, we don't forget shit. I am going back to the Federation and reporting about all the fucking human rights violations that have been happening here.
You have slavery on this planet, so...
Yeah, it's like, I know I can't interfere with your government as part of the whole Federation thing, but when you joined the Federation, you also agreed to not be dickheads of certain orders. Just so we're clear.
Also, I'm going to report the outfits that you make the security guards wear.
Oh, God.
With the shorts and the funny hats.
That is a crime.
My comment was, it looks like they just got out of the shower and had to get quickly onto the job. Shower cap, towels, go!
It's like when there's a fire alarm and you just got out of the shower and you're like, ah!
No, it is. They were ahead of the curve because they, already had their rompers, which that's topical. Or at least is at time of recording. It may already not be topical by the time this goes live.
I keep seeing plenty of links. Jake, you gonna get a male romper?
Fidget spinners?
Fidget spinners,
Yes.
yeah, that's the other thing.
Remind me to put hashtags for both of those on the episode so we can be super...
Oh, man, we're gonna get so many likes.
So much SEO.
By the time this episode airs, the fidget spinner craze
They'll
in the past.
learn
they'll
that
be
they
banned.
cause cancer.
They'll
or
be
something.
banned from every school in America because students that don't need them will be using them to interrupt class. And
It's probably past as of recording.
I mean,
honestly.
also kids are on summer break right now.
Anything else about this one
Did
before
I
we
have anything else?
wrap?
Oh, I liked the bars in the prison and how they retracted into the wall.
That was cool. A
That
nice
was fun.
alternative to the usual energy field that they like to use in Star Trek.
they do.
that you can't see until one of them hits it.
Inevitably.
Like, oh, there it
that
is.
That was one good thing in the last one in Eden. There was his little buddy when he Vulcan neck poke to the guard. He almost went to the thing and Dr. Sevrin was like,
It's a force field.
he stopped him before he could do the inevitable touch the force field and go, ugh! Bullshit.
Oh no!
Next
I did
one
like
down.
Shatner did do a good job being all fidgety too when
He needs a spinner, apparently.
yes, when he was to be affected by the gas, so twitchy, kind of holding his gun like
Yeah, he reminded me of
Evil Kirk?
in the Enterprise incident when he was supposed to be acting like an asshole to
or
everybody.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, less like Mirror Kirk. Mirror Kirk was evil, but I don't think he was
that's true. He was kind of
bracing himself always to be ready to be evil.
Yeah, that's true. He was kind of stocky, and they always let him weird. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Why do fidget spinners have the additional bearings on the outer?
I think you can spin those bits too.
Oh.
Any other thoughts related to the episode?
Or fidget spinners.
No.
No,
Nope.
no thoughts.
Zero thoughts.
Well, this has been episode 39 of A Star to Steer Her By. We are racing ever faster towards the end of the original series.
I know.
Crazy.
Into the galactic
What are we
barrier.
gonna do? We're gonna watch the animated series. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and then the movies,
That'd
and
be
then
exciting.
we'll suffer through the first season of the Next Generation.
No, not before we do that episode of Futurama.
Well, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, there's that.
Ba-ba-ba.
So, please join us next week when we will be looking at The Savage Curtain and All Our Yesterdays. Please find and like our Facebook page, A Star to Steer Her By. We are on Twitter and Tumblr as SSHB Podcast. We will be posting the fanfics within the next few weeks on the Tumblr as well.
Yeah, but keep an eye out for those. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Do please subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app, and if you use iTunes, give us a rating and review. For Star to Steer Her By, this has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jackass.
Accurate.
Thank you for listening.
Be sure to tip your yeoman.
Oh god, I just had a thought. Fuck, what was it?
I do not know.
It's gone now.
It is like a fart in the wind.
It'll come back.
If only your fucking farts would go that quickly. Jesus H. Christ.
Wow.
Fart in the wind.
Corner!
Only our farts in the wind.
Okay, I didn't get it at first. That's brilliant.